Okay, Allan Hicks. I've been in the trucking industry 46 years. Spent the first few years driving, then spent about 22 years in the LTL industry, and then tried to get out of the trucking industry. Couldn't make it, got back in, and went on the truckload side, and for the last 19 years I've been truckload. I've been running the safety department for B.R. Williams now going on 18 and a half years. I was holding quarterly meetings. I have 150 drivers. I would average getting in about 60% of those drivers on a quarterly basis. And in a large group setting, I mean, a lot of times, I only had like an hour of that time for a safety, so that's not a lot of safety. And most of that time was talking about results and not training itself. With any change within a company, I had the drivers tell me they can't do the training, they don't know how to do a computer, anything like that, and had those struggles. We handheld some drivers. We basically set up a computer at each of our locations. We've got 2 locations, and we brought them in, set them down, and I had a person at each one of those locations that would get them logged on. And to be honest with you, probably less than 10 drivers were doing it that way. The majority were doing it away. And those 8 or 10 drivers still come in, but now all we do is log them on, and they do the training on their own. I did a soft start with that lasted about 6 months. Just a couple of videos a month, just getting them used to going into the new system. One of my last quarterly meetings I held, I talked to them about it, and then at that time, right before I started, I was bringing every driver in, talking about CSA, and I had a lot of one-on-one meetings, and in that process, I talked to them about the Infinit-i product. I had some drivers that didn't want to do it at first, but after some coaching and all, they all got on board. I've got one individual inside that we look and pull a report on the 15th of the month to see who has not done. I assign the training on a monthly basis. So at the 15th of every month, she goes in, pulls a report, and we'll basically reach out to the driver and say, hey, you haven't done your training, you've got 2 weeks left to do it. Mine is mandatory. I have it tied to their monthly incentive program. If they don't do the training, they lose points, which basically costs them some money. And, occasionally I'll have that driver that says, I'm just not going to do it. And we've had some conversations, and eventually they start doing it. I do mine all mobile device. I've got guys that do it on their phones, do it on tablets, Kindles, laptops at home, and so forth. So I assign 4 videos a month. What I do is every December, I will pick a training theme for the year. It could be CSA, it could be miles per gallon or whatever, and I go in and pre-assign for a year for whatever training for that month pops up on the 1st of the month. So I don't have to go in on a monthly basis and say, what am I going to be adding this month? And then if there's any remedial or anything like that, I'll add that on a timely basis. I've got everybody in our company on it. I've got warehousing.
Your executive team as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I've got my brokerage department, dispatchers, shop personnel, shop management, warehouse, and warehouse management. Warehouse side and shop side especially. I mean, we were holding monthly, quarterly meetings for about an hour. And now, instead of taking them out of production, when they have a slow time during the month, they go in and do their training. These are results, and this is just something I talk about, and you look at the awareness side, the training communication over here. And what I'm going to show you is actual results over the last 4 years, 3.5 years, well, 4 years actually. And this is my report to our CEO of the company that I do on a monthly basis to show him where we're at as far as CSA and everything else. And if you can see, the green line in 2012, unsafe driving, was just continually driving up right toward the threshold. In 2013, we started turning the trend around. 2014, we got down into the 20s, and the first 2 or 3 months this year, I had a couple of drivers that got a speeding ticket. It jumped the score up a little bit, but you can see in May, it started dropping back down again. Hours of service, we're only about 30% ELDs, so we are seeing more improvement there since we've started adding on. But a lot of that had to do, I could go for months and not have a violation, and because of my peer group, I stayed where I was. I couldn't make any improvement. But with us adding on a few more ELDs lately, we're starting to see the trend there go down. So that has been a major change for us. This is my maintenance score. You can see in 2012 was up about 49. It started trending down. 2013 it went up a little bit high, but then in the last couple of years we've stayed in the 30s there. That's been the trend over the last 3.5 years. If you go back prior to 2000, say 2010 and 11, I was up above the threshold in maintenance, and we did some things there prior to bringing Infinit-i on that helped that score. But it's key, and the CSA. I mean, if the shop personnel don't understand what CSA is and what violations occur, then they can't. But they can help. Crash. This is, and I know this is not supposed to be public, but you can see where we were at in 2012. We were above the threshold. 2013, first half of the year, we were below. Then we had some crashes, and it's just like any carrier out there. This is not just the ones that are your fault. These are all the crashes. We have red trucks, and a lot of times I've told them, hey, they love hit red trucks because they do it all the time. And so about 70% of our crashes were not our fault.
So that's our problem.
Yeah. And I mean, what do you do with that? And I think, that is the major issue with this basic is, there's been a battle ever since CSA came out. But, you can see in 2014 it went down, and you can see the direction we're going in 2015. And I mean, they're not our fault, but, through the training and all, we have been able to make the drivers aware of looking at their surroundings, and being able to watch. And, you're still going to have those guys that hit you and not paying attention to you. But, that's been a major reason for that. And I'll say now, and I normally say it at the very first, Infinit-i is not a 100% of it because I've got an entire program. But I think the awareness and behavior side of it plays a big part in it, and that's what we're able to do through Infinit-i. The other 3, we have zeros, no violations. So you can see, we've over the last 3.5 years, we've made a big stride in reducing our CSA scores. Then you get into preventable accidents. You see there on the top, 2013, and this is number of preventable accidents. And in the first January you have 10, December you have 20. The numbers increase as the year goes, and that's why the upward trend. But you can see in 2012, about mid-year, we had started having less preventable accidents. And you can see where we're at in 2015. Our preventable accidents are again less than where we are in the previous 2 years. And then DOT accident per million miles. You can see the trend since 2012. 2015 is up, but we've actually not had but 3 accidents in the first 6 months. Let me knock on wood. But our miles, until the year goes along and the miles build up. Annual cost per accident. This one blew my mind away. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, they wanted me to start looking at this. And you can see in 2010, my annual cost per accident, $10,000. Okay, in 2015, I'm down at about $1,600 an accident through the first half of the year. Yeah. And then you get into accident cost per mile, and you can see the trend there. Both of those are going down. And it's all about behavior. And, if you don't keep things in front of them, try to change their behavior, then, you're not going to see improvements. I do custom content. I'm getting into it more now than I have in the past. We're just recently videoed a process within the shop on how to fuel a truck for new shop employees. And we're doing other things other than driver training on there. I just did some ISO training, certification training, put that on there for people to look at. I do annual letters to the drivers. I'll put that on there so I know that they've all got a chance to look at it. So yeah, we're starting to use it more and more as we go forward. I've talked to our shop. I'm trying to get it set up now to where we've got specific equipment, okay, and I want a new employee to know how to do a pre-trip on that. And we take a camera and we go through the process. They're looking at our equipment, and orientation is another example. Going to video the CEO of the company for a message to new employees. Every month for the last 2 or 3 years, I put my CSA scores there, so when a driver logs on, that's the first thing he sees. So they'll know what scores are there on a monthly basis, what we're doing. If I have anything new that's coming up, I'll put in a Word document or something like that to tell them what's happening. So yes. Well, you just look at the accidents along. Say we have an average of 40 accidents a year, and I call everything accident-wise. If it has $1 damage, it's an accident to me. So you take 40 accidents at $10,000, $400,000, and then you drop it down to say $1,500. That's a big change to the bottom line. They've been great to work with. Tanya, who is ours, she calls me, says, hey, there's a new video coming out. Keeps asking, do you want me to do your safety plan for the year? And normally I'll go in and pick my own and put it in. She said, well, do you want me to enter it? And I'm old school, we do a lot of the work in-house, but she's always checking with me, seeing what she can do. I had a custom content video the other day, and I figured, 3 or 4 days I would have it back and have it on working. Within 2 hours, she had it up on the site, ready to go, and I was ready to do the training. Skip email on a webinar that's coming up, and she, say, hey, do you want to attend? If you do, let me register you, and she's done that several times.